One of the questions I return to most often in my clinical practice is this: how did this person learn to survive their childhood? And what did that survival cost them? I'm Dr. Cindy Ruelas-Tafolla, a doctoral level licensed clinical social worker and certified life and wellness coach with over 20 years of clinical experience. Most people think of childhood trauma in terms of specific catastrophic events, and those experiences absolutely qualify. But clinical practice reveals something more expansive. Trauma is not simply what happened to you, it is what happened inside you as a result. The wound left when an experience exceeded your ability to process it, and when the support you needed was absent or insufficient. There are two forms of early wounding. There are experiences of direct harm, abuse, neglect, violence, loss. And then there are experiences of absence, the things that should have been there but were not. Emotional attunement, consistent comfort, the freedom to express authentic feeling without consequence. The experience of being genuinely seen and accepted as you were. These wounds are often harder to name because there is no clear event to point to. But the absence of what a child needs is just as formative as the presence of what hurts. In the mid-1990s, a collaboration between the Centers for Disease Control and Kaiser Permanente produced one of the most consequential studies in public health history. Over 17,000 adults were surveyed about adverse experiences in their first 18 years of life, and their adult health outcomes were tracked across time. The findings were striking. Nearly 2/3 of participants reported at least one adverse childhood experience. Almost 9 in 10 of those people had experienced more than one. And the relationship between early adversity and later life health outcomes was dose-dependent and cumulative, meaning the more adversity a person experienced, the greater the impact across every domain of their health and functioning. Physical illness, mental health, relationships, quality of life. What this study established, with large-scale empirical weight, is that what happens in childhood does not stay in childhood. The body keeps a record, the nervous system keeps a record, and the patterns that form in those early years do not dissolve simply because time passes. One of the most profound and least discussed effects of childhood trauma is what it does to a person's relationship with their own authentic experience. Every child is born with a fully alive inner life, feelings, preferences, needs, gut responses, a genuine sense of self. But for a child in a traumatic or chronically stressful environment, being fully present in that inner experience can become genuinely dangerous. If expressing your feelings brings punishment, your feelings must be suppressed. If having needs makes you a burden, your needs must be hidden. If being yourself threatens the attachment you depend on for survival, then a modified, more acceptable version of yourself must be constructed in its place. Here is the core clinical insight I want you to carry. Trauma is not only what happened to you. It is the disconnection from yourself that resulted from what happened. And the healing, real healing, is not about erasing the past. It is about gradually restoring the connection to the authentic experience, the genuine feelings, and the real self that had to be set aside in order to survive. Of all the lasting effects of childhood trauma, the damage to self-worth may be the most quietly devastating, operating in the background of every decision, every relationship, and every internal conversation a person has with themselves. When a child is raised in an environment where they are hurt, dismissed, shamed, or chronically unseen, the conclusion is rarely, "There is something wrong with my environment." Far more often, the conclusion is, "There is something wrong with me." And here is the clinical insight behind why that happens. A child who attributes their suffering to their own inadequacy maintains the illusion of having some power over the situation. If I could just be better, then maybe it would stop. In adult life, this shows up as chronic self-doubt, difficulty receiving care, setting boundaries only when absolutely necessary, achieving at a high level while feeling like a fraud, and a persistent low-grade sense of never quite being enough. Here is what I want you to know. Self-worth is not a fixed trait. What was shaped by experience can be reshaped by experience. That is what healing actually is. Healing from childhood trauma is possible. Not simple, not linear, but genuinely possible. The free guide, When the Body Keeps the Score of a Wounded Childhood, is available to download right now. The link is in the description below. It includes everything we covered in this video, plus all 25 reflection prompts with clinical notes and 5 fillable write boxes to begin your own reflection. Download it, work through it at whatever pace feels right, and remember, your readiness is the guide. There is no timeline you are supposed to be on. If you are ready to do this work with real support, one-on-one in a clinical relationship designed to hold all of it, I work with adults to do exactly that. All of my contact information and booking link are in the description. I am Dr. Cindy Ruelas-Tafolla. Thank you for being here with this.